Well, security preparations are underway ahead of the Republican National Convention in Cleveland. It kicks off on Monday. So could protest there help or hurt Donald Trump? He calls himself the law and order candidate. What would be the political reverberations of chaos in that city? Here to tell us is political and legal analyst and Fox News contributor, our friend Ebony Williams. Ebony, it's great to see you this morning.
Good morning, Tucker.
So we're all headed there this afternoon. Sure. I think everyone who's going to Cleveland this year is excited but also concerned.
Sure.
Every whack job in the world is going to show up. If something bad happens, and I pray it doesn't, what are the political effects of that?
I think this is one of those instances, Tucker, where that would not necessarily be good for Trump. Now, before, I think when we've seen international terrorist attacks and things like that, Trump has seen a bump in the polls. Because I do think there's been a framing of his message work around him being the antidote to that type of terrorism or violence. I think here, it's not enough for him to play to his current base. He's got to broaden that base out as we go into a general. And I do think there's a segment of the population, Tucker, that are concerned that if they feel it's Trump that's drawing this chaos and violence and animosity, it might start to be more trouble than it's worth. So I do think, especially in light of Dallas, I think there's a lot of fatigue and grief still around this issue. So I think that for Trump's sake and for America's sake and Cleveland's sake, they really want to keep that contained and well taken care of.
I think it's a smart analysis. So even if it's not Trump's fault, the
correct.
odor of chaos attaches itself to him, and
I believe many will connect that dot.
And I think that sounds right. So if that's true, doesn't that set up an incentive for protesters to create havoc?
Well, certainly. And I mean, look, I believe the last thing I saw, some 60-some-odd groups applying for just 20-some-odd permits. I've read and spoken to the police chief, Calvin Williams. They're really taking this seriously, Tucker. They've got 4,000 between local, state, and federal law enforcement agents prepared for this. They've got 2,000 sets of riot gear. They're taking this very seriously. They're trying to separate the groups. You know, there's people for Trump, people against Trump, and they're trying to put buffer zones and things of that nature to keep this thing as peaceful as possible.
You're not going to see many Republican protests. I mean, up until a couple weeks ago even, people were saying, we're going to stop them at the convention. That's all done, isn't it?
Mostly, I do know there's a couple of groups. I believe it's called, you know, again, Together for Never Trump. So there's going to be small segments, but nothing like, you know, I think a lot of the GOP is coalescing around the issue that this is their nominee. And certainly they're going to put that energy against Hillary Clinton rather than to continue to kind of fight a losing battle against Donald Trump.
Interesting. I agree with everything you said.
Thank you,
Great
Tucker.
to see
That's
you,
a good morning.
I don't know.
Goodness.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.